Hello, everyone. Welcome to another CTC software webinar. My name is Chris Bircher, Director of Technical Services here at CTC, and today we are going to talk about Family Checker from the BIM Manager Suite. Before we get started, I would like to encourage you all to ask questions throughout the webinar. I will do my best to try to answer them as we go along, and I will absolutely be making time at the end of the presentation to answer any and all remaining questions at that time. This webinar is also being recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel so that you may watch it again at your leisure. With that being said, let's get started. So, Family Checker. So having the ability to review your Revit families to make sure that they schedule properly, they flex properly, they follow your company standards, their appearance is set right, is something that every BIM manager wants, right? And many individuals are out there still doing this stuff manually, opening every Revit family, reviewing every parameter in each family, flexing the dimensional values, checking and unchecking visibility boxes, changing material parameters, doing all these various tasks in the family environment to make sure that it works, and then, excuse me, finally loading them into a project to, again, test them to, make sure that everything is working properly. And then to have to do that to every family in their library, this can take months, maybe years, for a person, right? If you've got a team of people, great. But, this is a huge task that could take a bunch of time. So thankfully, we have a tool out there that will help you streamline this process and provide you quick and meaningful reports that highlight the good, the bad, and the ugly. So with that, we are going to effectively reintroduce you to the Family Checker from our BIM Manager Suite and its enhanced checking and reporting features. So today, we're gonna talk about the new interface and a little bit how it's set up and what some of the customizations are, and how we can make it work for you and your standards or things that you need to check against. Show you how to execute quality checks amongst all of your families, at either all of them at the same time or in batches. And then we're going to take a look at the reports real quick and show you two different review methods. So we'll look at the report. There's one review. And then we'll look at it again. In this case, we'll use Power BI for that. So there's not much here, so we're just going to jump right into it. It's not a large app, and I don't like death by PowerPoint, so we're going live. So Family Checker is found in the BIM Manager Suite. It is this little dark blue icon right here, and it is part of our licensed tool set within the BIM Manager Suite. Light blue tools are free. You always get them. Dark blue tools are our paid tools, so it's part of our paid set. And Family Checker works on families, so you want to make sure that that's what you're working with. It doesn't work on families in a project. So we got a couple of different things here. So the front end UI is for the most part the same, right? Current family, multiple families, browsing for the parent folder, include your backups, and get all that stuff set up. We have a reports tab here, but we're going to come back to that because right now there's nothing there. And then the big thing here is in the options. This is where everything is defined. So what we get to do here on the general tab is set up our parameter file. So this is our master shared parameters file. So this is what we need to set if we want any of our reports to come out with accurate values. Second tab here is for valid groups and parameter types. So what you get to do here is assign the appropriate parameter type to the parameter group. there's a check inside here that will effectively do that to make sure that your content has a passing grade. And so if, based on how your parameter file is set up, you've got certain parameter types with definitions, however you've created them, and you've placed them in various groups. If you don't tell Family Checker that that placement is okay, it's going to give you a bad grade or a bad score for that check. So you have the option to specify where these can go, and they can go in multiple groups. So for example, if I expand my data field, I've got currency, integer, number, text, URL, and a yes, no. Well, maybe I want to have a multi-line text show here, right? Or, maybe there's something else under HVAC that I would like to have there. Like, well, let's just for fun, we'll put heat gain in under data, right? So when processing my content now, if Family Checker finds heat gain in the data parameter group, that's a good thing. If it finds heat gain in construction, and construction doesn't have heat gain shown here, we're going to get a not so good grade for that particular piece during its processing. So you'll want to take the time to set this up to really kind of tailor Family Checker to your needs. And thankfully it's just a drag and drop. The name rules, this part's the same. And basically you get to go ahead and tell it what's a valid character or symbol or string of characters for your parameter names. And your standard ones are inch symbols, quotes, brackets, parentheses, dollar signs, things like that. If there's more that you want to include, type them in, right? Like, a lot of our stuff we don't want to include unit names or unit types in parameter names, for example. So you could type in inches or IN or however you wanted to do that. It's up to you, but you have the ability to customize this as much as you need to and add as many valid or invalid parts to this. The next tab is defining custom subcategories. So as you know, there are a bajillion categories and potential for subcategories that we can add here. If there are subcategories that you guys have created in your content that would not normally appear in Revit, and you want Family Checker to be okay with that, we need to add that here. So for example, like with my door families, I've got an ADA clearance subcategory in there. And in some of my mechanical equipment, I know I have a clearances subcategory. So I have added those both. And I do know that in some of the other equipment here, there are additional clearances that need to be included. So I am just going to go ahead and add electrical equipment to this list. And here it is. And I can right click on that and say add subcategory and type in clearances again. So it's just a simple right click, type in what you want, away we go. And it will tell you which ones are custom. So the green check marks are your custom ones. So as you can see, I also added hardware to my doors as well, because my doors are uber fancy. So again, another thing that if you were integral in your content creation initially, then you have a pretty decent idea potentially what is a custom subcategory. Then the family rule sets. So what are we checking, right? What do we want to include during our process here? So do I want to include shared parameters that are used or custom parameters used, if they're available but not used, right? Like then we just have dead stuff in there. So yeah, I want to check and make sure that if I've added stuff that I'm actually using it. And we can do name checks, parameter grouping checks. You can also disable these if you don't care, right? If it's too much time to go through the valid groups and pull your parameter types back and forth and up and down and around, then just disable it. You don't have to hold on to that if you don't want to. File size. You can put what is the maximum file size that anything above that should be flagged or is no longer in good condition, right? Is that 2 megs for you? Is it 1.5? Is it 5? You know, what's that threshold for you? So I'm going to put in 2 in this case. The previous ones I did was 1, so we'll have some differences potentially here. And then, you know, subcategories, reference planes, you know, and for the reference plane naming, all that's doing is checking to see if it's actually got a name or not, right? If that's important to you, include it in your list. In this case, I will. So, and then if you need to, you can save this so that others can use it as well in your office, or maybe you have different family checked configs that you want to hold on to for different types of families. Maybe some instances you care about certain things, and some instances you don't. You can create a number of different options or saved option sets and load those in as needed. So now I'm done. Now it's just a matter of loading some content up. So I already have my folder mapped here, and you know, I'm not going to process everything, but let's do one at least so that you can see. And I will pick, well, I don't know. I've done one and I haven't done one. Let's do this one. We'll do a panel board. So I'm going to add that to the list and then hit check. And what it's going to do is basically open the family up in the background and process and review everything based off what I had told it to review. Okay, so it's checking the family. It's, you know, thinking about it right now. And while it's thinking, I'm going to show you quick what a more robust report would look like. So here, I've got a list of about 100 families that was run at one point. So you can see what we're doing here is we're checking file names and the path it's coming from, category, when it was processed, what type of family and it is that we get our little custom review number for tracking and stuff. And then here's all the reporting. So our reporting is done on a, you know, a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And in some cases, things don't apply, like connectors don't apply to everything. So we're not gonna check it for everything. And that's just a built-in rule set that we've created so that you don't have to define that. It's just gonna check. So we're looking for the connectors and descriptions and the mappings and all that stuff. But we look for materials, including structural and physical and thermal properties, type catalog usage, all the way down, how long it's taking to process. So you can kind of get an idea of what we're getting, the scores that we're presented with. So, and, you know, there you have it. So that's what you get. That's the end result. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can go about reviewing this data, right? You can look in Excel just like this and, you know, put your custom sorting and filtering up here and review the data in this format if you'd like, right? Which works. However, you know, it's harder to now figure out, you know, how many families have a bad grade or what's the average grade of everything, right? Like that's hard to, it can be done, right, in Excel, but it's hard to review. Now we got to build it and set it up because it's not in here. So I have taken the liberty of doing a quick little mini Power BI file that is over here. There we go. And stitching together a couple of things. You can use other applications that will pull in an Excel file. So like, I believe Tableau can, Google Analytics, or whatever it's turning into will be able to pull some of this data in And there's a number of other, online based or, desktop install based analytics tools out there that you can pull your data in for. So, and this is just reading the Excel file that was created by Family Checker. And so here I've just got a basic list, like, okay, what categories have I processed? Great, that's a good start. Then a list of each family that was processed and what their average rating is. So this is the rating, right? So it's taking into account every single score that it got on down the line and giving me my score, right? So this is the average score of everything that was included. And then you can put together a nice little table that does, average rating by category, or, you can change it around and get the average rating of the entire library. How many families do we have included? What are my lowest rated families? So what happened? There it goes. So you can see, my lowest rating is a 2.13 right now. And in my mind, a 3 is kind of my deal breaker point. If it's below a 3, maybe I don't want it in my projects or made available to my user base, because who knows if it'll schedule properly or even flexing properly, or where it came from for that matter. So we got a couple of things that we want to review on some of this content here. And, I built a little table here that shows how many families are in each category, just for, just kind of having fun a little bit. I'm not very good at Power BI, but I was able to go ahead and build out some of these averages and total family counts and stuff like that. So it wasn't very difficult to figure out how to do it. So, and if you're good at this kind of stuff, all the data that you would need is here, right? So this is just based off that one Excel file, and all of those warning, or those all of the fields that Family Checker processes and checks for, those are all available here. So, and if you know a thing or two about Power BI, you can create custom fields. You can sort and filter things down by date if you want, or, and really kind of get into the nitty gritty. So it's entirely up to you how you build out your reports and what you want these to be at the end of the day. So the whole idea is to build in that that flexibility. Check what you need to check, what's important to you, not what we think is important. So that brings us, and that's just about it. That's Family Checker for you. So we'll get you back to here, and how do we get our hands on this? So many of you probably already have a copy of our BIM Manager Suite, in which case you have Family Checker. The version you have seen today is in our latest build of 23.1, and it will be available inside of the app. If you click on About within any of the Manager Suite apps, you will have a Download Latest button inside there. You can always go to our website and get access to it there as well. So click About, Download Latest Installer. So you will have access to it at, that way. You can always, if you need a trial, you can go to our website. And I don't have, there we go. You can go to our website, which is here, ctcsoftware.com. I'm trying to get it up here. Come on. There we go. ctcsoftware.com, and you can go to our products page and find our BIM Manager Suite 2023, and you can go ahead and try it for 14 days for free, and that will at least get you the ability to process your content and get a report back on it. And again, after those 14 days, you will still get those light blue shaded tools. Those are free. And if you're interested in those, check out our YouTube channel. There's a number of other apps up there that you will have access, or videos up there that explain how some of those other tools work. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up for some questions, and I will give you answers. And for those of you that don't have questions and want to go get your lunch, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you guys, and we look forward to seeing you in future webinars. No questions yet. I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes just in case anyone's out there typing. But again, thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future.